One AI tool that's been talked about a lot recently is NotebookLM. This is a tool created by Google, and you can see on the page here it says your personalized AI research assistant, and it really does a lot more than even that. Here's the gist of what NotebookLM can do. It allows you to upload resources to what they will call a notebook, and then ask questions about it or engage with just that content alone. So unlike when you go to a large language model like ChatGPT and ask it questions, it's pulling from its large data set. In this case, it's pulling from only the resources you are uploading into your notebook. And it does a whole lot of other really cool things, including create an audio podcast of your resources you have uploaded. So I can't wait to show you all the things that NotebookLM can do for you and see if it might be helpful for you in your work. So let's get started. Okay, so here we are at the NotebookLM URL. You can see that up at the top here, and we're just going to click Try NotebookLM. And you will need a Google account in order to give this a go. Now, once you have logged on, you will see we are at this main page here where these are my notebooks that I already have. It's worth noting that you can have up to 50 sources inside of each notebook. So we're going to go ahead and actually start a brand new notebook so I can show you the ins and outs. Okay, so what you're seeing in front of you here are kind of three panels. Over on the left is where we're going to add our resources into our notebook. In the middle here is where we'll start to engage with the resources by asking questions and creating notes and things like that. And over here on the right is where some of the magic happens. Here's where we'll be able to generate an audio overview of whatever our sources are, as well as some other things here like a study guide, an FAQ, and so on. And we'll get to each of those. So the first thing we need to do to get started is to add sources to this. Now, this can be all sorts of sources. So if I click here, you can see some of the things that we can add to our notebook, including anything from Google Docs or Google Slides, any kind of website link or YouTube video, any copy and pasted text, any PDFs, audio files, and so on. So I have two PDFs I'm going to go ahead and add to this now that I've saved just for this tutorial. Okay, I've navigated to where my resources are, and you can see I have two PDFs here. One is an AI faculty survey from 2025, and one is a student survey. So I want to bring these both together and kind of see what we can see about what faculty and students had to say about AI. So I'm going to go ahead and choose them both. And you can see now that both of these resources are listed over here on the left. So one note is you can always rename these if the way it came in isn't helpful or you can't tell exactly what that file is by clicking on those three dots and choosing to rename the source. You can also get rid of sources if you decide you don't want that a part of this particular notebook. I'm going to add one more resource in here by choosing Add Source. Now this time I have a YouTube link, and you can see this is the URL that I want to bring in, and this is about librarians and faculty's perceptions of AI in the discipline. So this is something else I think might be helpful for this particular notebook. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to choose YouTube, and I'm going to paste this in. All right, now you can see it's being added over here. And it's up here at the top now. So I now have three sources, and immediately there is a kind of summary or overview that is created right inside of this middle area where it says chat. And it gives me a general overview as to what my sources are and what it's pulling out of that. So that happens automatically. Now from here, we can ask all sorts of questions to this chatbot. Now, this is only going to pull the answers from the sources I have added, and it will actually cite itself, and I'll show you that in just a second. And this is helpful, and not only is it targeting our conversation about just these sources, our hallucinations will be much more minimal than we would see on ChatGPT because it is limited to only these sources. So you can see down here at the bottom, it's giving us some suggestions as to what we might want to ask about these sources given what the content is. So the first question it says is, what are the most pressing AI-related challenges and opportunities facing global students now? We can click this button and see what its next suggestion is. What specific sources and guidelines do faculty and students need concerning AI? This is always a good place to start to see if they're asking a question that you would probably want to ask about this. So let's start with this one. What specific resources and guidelines do faculty and students need concerning AI? So we'll ask that question, and we can type in our own, and we'll do that next. So what it gives us back from our question here is all sorts of information, and it is pulling that from these 3 resources. So first, it's telling us that we need AI literacy. Many faculty members are not satisfied with the resources provided by their institutions. Where is it getting that? So if we roll our mouse over number 1, it is popping up and showing us a part of the Digital Education Council faculty survey, where in that survey it is finding that information. And it says right there at the bottom, over 3/4 of faculty do not find that their institutions have provided sufficient resources to developing faculty AI literacy, which is exactly what it told us here. Now, if we wanted to get into a little more detail and actually show exactly where in that document it found that, we can click on it and it'll bring it up for us right inside of that PDF that we pulled from, and it's exactly there. So I'm kind of fact checking that it gave us correct information, and it did, and it allows me to dig in. If I want to close this again to give myself a bit more room, I can go ahead and close that. Let's move on and see. Under students, it says that, we'll jump down a little bit. Students call for improved AI guidelines and communication. So let's roll our mouse over here and see exactly where that's coming from. And it's saying 71% of students demand involvement in AI decision making. Only 34% of students demanding to be heard think that their university actively seeks feedback from them. So if I wanted to get into more detail, we can scroll down. Here's a bit more about it as well. I'm going to click there, and it'll show me exactly inside of here where it pulled that statistic from. So you can see that it is really only referencing these specific resources over here. And here's some more resources, or rather, information that it's giving us about what we asked. Let me ask it a question myself here now. Okay, so I typed in a question. What are the biggest concerns for faculty and students regarding AI use in classes? So let's go ahead and ask that question and see what it'll come back with. All right, so here it broke it down for us into faculty concerns and student concerns. And once again, we can roll our mouse over and see exactly where it's coming from. So this one's actually coming from the YouTube video. And what we're actually looking at here is a transcript of that video. So we can see exactly where it's pulling away that a writing instructor said that faculty are concerned that AI is providing an even easier means for students who don't want to take college seriously. And we could look through the transcript and see exactly where she said that. Let's come up here and see this part. A significant majority of faculty members express concerns about students' ability to critically evaluate AI-generated content. If we roll our mouse over here, we can see concerned about student ability to critically evaluate AI input, and that was 52%. Once again, we could click on this and we could go to exactly where we are inside of that, that document there. Okay. Let's say that we really like what it came up with here and we'd like to save this. Every time you get a response from NotebookLM, there's an option here that says Save to Note. So if we click on this, it will actually generate a note over here that then is exactly what was here. So it will title it. You can also change the name of that title if you want to. We'll go back to the studio and see that it is saved for us. That's important for 2 reasons. 1, you might want to just come back to this at any time and it will be saved over here. But 2, whenever you leave your notebook and come back into it, this particular chat is then refreshed and it won't be there saved for you. So anything that you want to save from the chat itself, you need to save over here. So let's say we want to ask specifically about one particular resource over there. We could uncheck a couple of resources to say, don't look at these for this particular question. But let's say we're going to leave that and I'm going to say, what does the YouTube video have to say about ethics and AI use? I'll go ahead and hit enter. And it's now going to give us some additional information here where it's pulling right from that. It's telling us where it's pulling it from. And once again, each of these statements it's making, it cites for itself back inside of the YouTube video according to the transcript. So it's giving us some, looks like 4 bullets about it and then overall concerns. So I think you get the idea as to how to interact and chat about the content that's over here. And you could ask it anything. What are correlations you see between? What are big differences you see? The other couple things I want to show you is I'll start over here under notes. We have got several options here that we could create resources from. So let's choose first a briefing doc. I'm going to go ahead and click that, and it's going to generate for us a briefing doc on all of these resources that we have uploaded. Once it's done generating, we'll be able to click and open it up, and I'll go ahead and do that. And here's a briefing doc: main themes and key findings, top uses, student readiness, and so on. I can rename this. Maybe I want to remind myself that this was the briefing guide, and then I can go back to the studio, and it's still there for me. We can also create a study guide. We can create an FAQ. I'll go ahead and do that one just so you can see that one as well. These are all built in, and all you have to do is click on them, and it will, again, use your resources that you've uploaded to create this for you. So here it is. I'm going to actually rename this FAQ so I can remember that's what this was. And you can see here's 8-question FAQ based on the provided resources, and it'll give you what those FAQs are. Lastly, I'm going to go ahead and choose to generate this. What this is going to do for us is it's going to generate a podcast, usually somewhere between 10 and 15 minutes, based on the content that we have uploaded. This will be 2 hosts that will talk to each other about this content. So I'm going to give that a minute to generate, and then I'll show you what it'll look like. While it's generating, I just want to mention a couple of other ways I think this could be used. One thing that a student actually told me she used it for was she uploaded content from a class and was able to then get help on that content. You could have it quiz you on it. You could say, explain this to me in a term I'll understand. She was using it for an AP class. So I think course content could definitely be uploaded, and students could engage with it in a way that might help them to synthesize and bring together that content in a more meaningful way. Another way that could be used is to, if there is a complicated article that you want students to better understand, you could upload the article from here. And once the audio overview is generated, it then would create a podcast about that article that may make it easier for students to understand the content in that article if it's a bit heavy. So really the sky's the limit here. It will really help you to bring together either research documentation or really any content that you want to dig into in a meaningful way and really focus a chat just on that content or a podcast just on that content. So our podcast is ready, and it was just a bit longer here at 19 minutes. So I'm going to actually kind of jump in the middle here and let you hear what this turned out like, and you can hear the 2 hosts talking about this.
On AI to just do the work for them.
Exactly. We can't overlook that deeper concern about the impact on actual learning. If students aren't actively engaging with the material, are they really developing the critical thinking skills and knowledge base they need?
To make all of this a bit more real, let's dive into some specific examples from the University of Louisville faculty. We talked to a STEM professor who flat out said AI can't do good science.
All right, I'll stop there. You can see they will talk back and forth just like any podcast we would listen to that was created by humans. They also have kind of a cool interactive mode where you can interrupt the hosts and ask questions about it. This is in beta, so just know that that option is there. And if you wanted to share this out, like I mentioned before, if you wanted to give a podcast that students could listen to about maybe some content you put together, there is a share button here as well. So what we're looking at here is NotebookLM. This tool has so much potential for teaching and learning, research, and really being able to take content and view it and chat about it in a variety of ways. I hope this was helpful and that you're able to dig into NotebookLM and that you'll be able to use it in your own studies or in your own teaching and learning.